Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman. This is specifically the DC Rebirth Batman because we still don't get the descriptive name on the front of the box. This has been mentioned as possibly the best Batman figure from McFarlane Toys to date. People have been asking me to review it for about 3 months now, and it finally came in thanks to the shipping situation, and so now I'm going to be reviewing it. I will tell you right off the bat, I have some things to say about this figure, and you're probably going to want to stick around for them. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 7 inches to the top of his head, not his little ear tips, and that's going to make him pretty close to 18 centimeters. It's your standard height for the DC McFarlane figures. And if you want to see how tall he is up against another figure, here he is up against Hulk, because I have him handy. And there you go. Okay, so question of the day. Are you a fan of the Rebirth design with the purple cape and the little bit of yellow details going on here, slightly different look for things? I personally like it. It's not my favorite. I'm more of a classic blue and gray with the longer ears and things, but this is a nice look. I do like the purple. I don't care for the chest logo, but I do like the belt. So that's my stance on it. You guys can let me know how you feel. Okay, so right off the bat, is it the best one from McFarlane? Best Batman? I'm going to say yes. But that's not saying a ton, because most of the Batman figures from McFarlane have been some kind of crazy version of Batman or not very good. They've been lacking in a lot of ways. The last one I reviewed was pretty good in some ways, but really needed to be reworked. This one is better in a lot more ways. It's done a lot of things right that the other ones didn't. So let's go ahead and start with the aesthetic. We'll cover paint first. There's almost none on him. We have the belt and the chest logo, and those are acceptable, but not particularly good. You can see the logo is pretty sloppy. The yellow's opaque, so that's good, but it's not very uniform. On the belt, it's much better, but still a little iffy, but definitely good enough. And on the face, it looks like they tried to do some detail work in the face, which is nice. The lips look good, but the wash or whatever they did to give him detail work in the skin just looks like the figure's dirty, so that's a bummer. Eyes are pretty well located, so that's nice. The only other bit of paint we have, really, other than, is there any like on the boots? I don't think so. Or on the arms? No, I don't think so. The only other paint is on the cape, which is just purple on top of the black, and that's pretty good. I don't notice any issues, but it's very dark, so you wouldn't see them anyway, so paint's fine. No shading throughout, though, so that's definitely going to be a little bit of a hit, but it's a $20 figure, so I can let it slide. Overall finish on the figure, we do have some parts that are more matte, like right here, and then the rest is pretty much satin. His diaper and his chest matte, everything else satin. That's a bit of a bummer. His legs are particularly shiny. That's a bit of a bummer. Okay, let's talk about sculpt and proportions. If I do this, and you look at the figure, it looks pretty darn good. If I do this and look at the figure, it looks like a pair of legs and doesn't really matter. But if you put them all together, it looks like his legs are too big for the rest of his body. And proportionally speaking, they're not really. They kind of are. Where we're getting the problem is that there's not enough bulk. There's not enough thickness to... Could that person's exhaust be louder? Can you guys hear that? There's not enough bulk up here. Like, this is a fairly trim Batman. Like, it's a lot of definition, but he's not super massive. Whereas these legs are like Goliath the gargoyle levels of massive. There's not much definition, and they're very chonky. So there's two different styles going on. It almost looks like two different people sculpted him, because for the upper half, he's not as cut as I would like some of the superheroes to be, but we do have a lot more definition here. And not a lot of mass. Like, look at his bicep, look at his tricep. There's not a whole lot of muscle going on there. The shoulders are fairly small, pecs aren't huge. We have a nice enough V shape, but we don't have a ton of bulk. But down here, it's nothing but bulk, and that's what's throwing it off. So I'll do a quick Photoshop. I'm not going to like rework the definition in the legs or the chest or anything, but I'll just do a general size, like general beefing up of things or shrinking down of things to make it look good. But it's definitely going in the right direction, and maybe once you pose him, you won't notice how thick his thighs look compared to the rest of him. But it seems to me that if you go from the top of the belt down, it looks like a totally different figure, because he has a big diaper and a big set of legs. Top of the belt up, totally different figure, and everything looks pretty good. It all matches. So that's where we're getting some of the issues here. I don't know what is going on at the McFarlane Toy Company, but it seems like they don't have a clear direction for what they want to do with their superheroes. as far as sculpting, as far as proportions, as far as a lot of things. So it's very strange. But this one is, as far as I can tell, the best by far so far. Like, there's a lot going on that's good. Let's talk about some of the detail work here. The gauntlets look pretty nice. They're a separate piece glued on top of the arm, and that works well enough. The boots are okay. There's some detail going on in there. Nothing crazy. The cape, I like the sculpt of the cape. It's not symmetrical, but it is balanced. And it is very nicely sculpted. We have some nice billows going on in there, some nice folds and wrinkles and things. It's nice. I like the way it wraps around the cowl and tucks in at the chest. That's pretty good. However, hopefully you can see this. It doesn't actually fit properly around the cowl, so like there's some gray showing. I don't know that that's a big deal, but some people might be bothered by that. I don't really care. I do like the sculpt of the head, by the way. I didn't mention that. They have had a lot of trouble getting Batman's head right. I think this is probably their best Batman head sculpt. It's very good. So yeah, there's a lot to like about this figure. They're going in the right direction. I want to say they're getting better, but I don't know. We'll see if it's consistent or not. This one is better. We'll leave it at that. So aesthetically speaking, I'll give this one an 8 out of 10. They did a lot of things right. And at a $20 price point, I'm pretty pleased with it. Now, as far as accessories go, we get the fist hand that comes on him in the package on the left side. And on the right side, we get this arthritis hand. And to put in that hand, we have a very poorly executed Batarang that looks really, really terrible. And then we get his little grapnel gun, which is not comically oversized. So I like that. That's pretty good. There's just solid black plastic though, so those are pretty lousy accessories. We do get the solid black plastic display stand, I'm noticing a trend, and we get the collector card, which shows the figure with the craziest lighting on it ever, which makes it look like an entirely different figure. That's lousy. 5 out of 10 for accessories. Give me fist hands for Batman or I quit. I won't quit because I need to do my job for the people, but give me fist hands for Batman or I will continue to bitch. Okay, let's talk about the articulation. Is it any good? The head is on a double ball peg, which does allow him to look up fairly nicely, very naturally. That's the way to do it. He looks down just a bit, side to side. Love the attitude. Love it. You can do attitude and rotation. Very, very nice. Double ball peg, the way to go. Shoulders on this guy. Okay, so look, guys, come on. I've been saying, like, either put the cap in there and make it work well, or don't put the cap in there at all. Martian Manhunter, let me show you Martin over here. Look at his cap. He's got the shoulder with the cap, and he gets extra range. Like a butterfly joint, it goes up and down, extra range. That's pretty cool. That's the way to do it. This guy, on the other hand, I thought they got rid of it entirely. They didn't. It's still in there. It just serves zero purpose. Why is that a thing? The shoulder works fine without it, but what the heck? That's so weird. Don't put it in there. You can't even see it. Like, literally, it might as well not be there at all. Okay, well, whatever. The shoulder does get your full rotation. You still get biceps sculpted on to the shoulder. That's super weird that they keep doing that. When you pose the arm, you should not have bicep hanging around on the shoulder ball. That's super weird. You do get your hinge going out to the side. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow works nicely. Wrist hinge for, or ball hinge for the wrists. That's going to be whatever. He's got a fist and a gauntlet blocking it, so you don't really need it, and it doesn't really work. Diaphragm joint is super loose. Oh, by the way, this arm is very floppy on mine. Let me know how you guys have experienced that on yours or not. Or if you have, not how you have. He keeps wanting to do this. He keeps wanting to get that twist going and staying like that, so it's very irritating. But you do get your double ball peg at the top. It leans back nicely, like really far back on the top part. On the bottom part, it leans back okay. So that's not good. Let's just do a little bit. So it leans back that far before it gets gappy because they didn't really account for it too much. Let's see. Normally you have a gap there when you lean back because leaning forward is really good. But he can't really lean forward too much at all. Still better than most, but still not very good. Out to the side though, that's really good. And you do get your rotation out of both pieces. So it's acceptable. It's, again, better than most, but still very much lacking. For a basic superhero build, you should have much better range out of the torso. For the hips, going out to the side, we get basically full-on splits. That's really good. That's very nice. His diaper is not too low like on this guy where he could only go about 45 degrees. This guy almost gets you everything you need, so that's very nice. Going forward, his diaper is a little more flexible, so it's still not great, but it's a little bit better. They definitely sculpted some more butt cheeks on there. Never gonna not count on McFarlane Toys to put butt cheeks on their figures. The legs do go back a little bit. Kicks get in the way though. Thigh swivel is basically non-existent. That sucks. Double jointed knee works nice enough. I don't remember his knee pad thing sticking out quite as much as it does on this figure. Like, it should just be sculpted into the knee, but this is acceptable, I guess, so that's fine. And then for the ankle, we have the ball hinge, which gives you plenty of range forward and back. Toe hinge, which is good enough. And so it's workable, it's fine. But let me show you guys why the ratcheted ankles are a bad thing. I'm gonna show you right now. I don't know if I've ever covered this specifically. That's his ankles at that notch, okay? So he's leaning too far back, obviously, to stand. Let me go one notch forward. That's the next notch. See how he's leaning forward? That's like he'll balance, but that's not a neutral stance. That's him leaning way too far forward. So you get too far forward or too far back. There is no middle because of the way it's ratcheted. I want him right here. It won't stay there because there's no ratchet in that ankle. So he has to lean too far forward or too far back. You can see I'm not faking it. I'm trying to get it to go in the middle. That's it, standing right between the hinges. You can kind of get it to stay, but it doesn't want to. So yeah, if you play with it enough and try to get it to balance, not the hinges, the ratchets. If you get the hinge to balance between the two ratchets, you might be able to get a neutral stance, but otherwise he's leaning too far forward or too far back. Not an ideal way to do that. Anyway, enough of that tangent. Back to the final rating for the articulation. I will give it a 7. It's not particularly good. We're still missing a lot of features that should be there, and it doesn't pose all that well. Like, the torso sucks. This is weird. Otherwise, it's okay. So, final verdict on this guy. Is it the best Batman from McFarlane Toys? Yeah, I would say so, like without a shadow of a doubt. Like for a core Batman suit. Is it a great Batman figure? I would say it's not. I would say you're still better off going with one of the older figures with the more basic articulation, even if you go with one of the Mattel ones, or DC Icons, or DC Essentials. I don't know, did DC Essentials do New 50 or Rebirth? I don't remember. Anyway, basically all of those are better in a lot of ways. This might be better in a few ways, but I don't know. I'm going to give it an overall rating of, for a price point of $20, 8 out of 10. It's pretty good, but we're still lacking in a lot of ways, and I think there's a lot of room for improvement that wouldn't cost the company any money. So that's my stance. You guys can let me know how you feel about this figure in the comment section below. You can let me know how you feel about this review by giving it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And if you really want to help, if you really thought this video was a good one, you can share it. Apparently that's a big thing on YouTube now for the algorithm. So share the video if you liked it, guys. That would do me a big solid, so I would appreciate that. And to do you a solid, I'm going to suggest you subscribe, because I do have new videos up almost every single day, every day but Wednesday really, and I have thousands of videos already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.